Afternoon, everyone. Let's begin. So today we are going to discuss Charles Dickens' Great Expectations. And let me remind you, it is block 4 of your MEG3, Charles Dickens' novel Great Expectations. Before we start, okay, I think you can read about the background, the Victorian England. The novel was written in Victorian age. You have to begin with the context. You have to read the social cultural background of the Victorian age. Today let's begin with Charles Dickens because 2 hours is a short time to cover the novel. So we will begin with the author and then we will move on to the work. So Charles Dickens was an English writer and social critic. I hope everyone can hear me. Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So he was an English writer of the Victorian England, Victorian age. He created some of the world's best known fictional characters, and he is regarded by many as the greatest novelist of the Victorian era. And his works enjoyed unprecedented popularity during his lifetime. And by the 20th century, uh, critics and scholars had recognized him as a literary genius. So Charles Dickens is regarded as one of the best writers or best novelist of English literature, and his novels and short stories are still widely read today. He is one of the most prominent writers of English literature. About his biography, born in Portsmouth, Dickens left school to work in a factory when his father was imprisoned in a debtor's jail. He had borrowed, his father had borrowed, could not repay the money, so he was jailed, imprisoned. Despite his lack of formal education, he edited a weekly journal for 20 years and he wrote more than 15 novels and 5 novellas. Novellas, I told you in the last class, short novels, or middle length prose fiction, hundreds of short stories and non-fiction articles. He also lectured and performed readings extensively. He was also a letter writer and campaigned vigorously for children's rights, education, and other social reforms. In fact, when we read Charles Dickens in all his writing, we find it's like a mirror of the time. He has talked about the Industrial Revolution and its consequences, its bad effect on the common people. He has talked about the rights of laborers, children, the right to education, and he has talked about the other social reforms in his works, in all his novels. And Dickens' literary success began with the 1836 serial publication of the Pickwick Papers. In those times, novels were not published individually. They were serialized. They were serialized in different journals. So within a few years, he had become an international literary celebrity, famous for his humor, satire, and keen observation of character and society. So his novels, most published in monthly and weekly installments in serialized forms in journals, they pioneered the serial publication of narrative fiction, which was the trend of the time. Okay. And it became the dominant Victorian mode of publication or novel publication. Novels were published in the forms of serials in journals. So the serial format allowed Dickens to evaluate his audience's reaction, and he often modified his plot and characters also, based on the feedback of the audience. Then in 1836, Dickens married Catherine Hogarth, and the couple had 10 children. However, in his 40s, when he was in his 40s, he fell in love, or he was attracted to a young actress named Ellen Ternan, and he separated from his wife in 1858. Let's discuss about some of the famous novels of Dickens. So Dickens' other novels were Oliver Twist. You must have heard about Oliver Twist, Nicholas Nickleby, Then the Old Curiosities Shop, also a Christmas Carol, then Dombey and Son, and David Copperfield is the most famous. David Copperfield, Oliver Twist, these are most famous. Then we have Bleak House, Hard Times, David Copperfield, Oliver Twist. These are often prescribed in even in schools, colleges, and in honors PG. Then Little Dorrit, A Tale of Two Cities. A Tale of Two Cities is also a famous work by Dickens. Then Great Expectations, of course, we have, which we are going to read today. Our Mutual Friend, The Mystery of Edwin Drood, was an unfinished novel. So these are some of the major works by Charles Dickens. I repeat some of the famous names like Oliver Twist, David Copperfield, Bleak House, A Christmas Carol, Hard Times, Great Expectations, A Tale of Two Cities. His 1843 novella, A Christmas Carol, remains especially popular and continues to inspire adaptations in every artistic form. Then Oliver Twist and Great Expectations are also frequently adapted. And like many of his novels, they evoke images of early Victorian London. And in his 1859 novel, A Tale of Two Cities, it is set in London and Paris, and it is best known work of historical fiction, or Tale of Two Cities. So Dickens has been praised by many of his fellow writers like Leo Tolstoy, George Orwell, G.K. Chesterton. All of them have praised Dickens for his realism, for his comedy, for his prose style, for his unique characterization and social criticism. However, Oscar Wilde, Henry James, and Virginia Woolf complained of lack of psychological depth, a loose writing, or a vein of sentimentalism. So a mixed reception of his works by different writers and critics. And the term Dickensian is often used. It has become an adjective. The term Dickensian is used to describe something that is reminiscent of Dickens and his writings, such as poor social conditions and comically repulsive characters. So he is identified with these trends. Poor social conditions he has portrayed in his writings, and also he has created many comically repulsive characters. So this was something about Charles Dickens and his writings. Next we will come to Great Expectations. I'll slowly tell you the story. Be attentive and listen. Because we know that these are long stories, long novels of more than 600 pages, and it has so many characters. So have patience, and I'll slowly tell you the story. Be attentive. So the main character in The Great Expectations is Peep, P-I-P. And Peep's story is told in 3 stages. First, his childhood and early youth in Kent, K-E-N-T, Kent, a place in England, where he dreams of rising above his humble situation. He was born poor, he was an orphan, so he dreams of rising above his situation. Then the second part is time in London after receiving great expectations. He received support from a patron or a person who supported his education, and he spent his time in London. Then third, he is disillusioned on discovering the source of his fortune because it was sponsored by a criminal, followed by his slow realization of the vanity of false values. What is that false values? We will know when we will
Excuse me,
read the
ma'am.
whole story.
Hello, ma'am. May I audible, ma'am?
Yes?
One
Yes?
second. Once again, can
Yes,
you
you are.
repeat the story, ma'am? Please.
Okay, I'll tell you the whole story elaborately, but in the beginning, just to give you an overall view of the whole thing. Like Peep's story is told in 3 stages. Peep is an orphan child. In the beginning, he was an orphan and he was poor. So his childhood and early youth in Kent, his native place. Then he dreams of rising above his situation. The second stage comes when his education was sponsored and he went to London after receiving that great expectations, that sponsorship. Then the third stage finally is he's disillusioned. He's disillusioned when he discovered that the source of his fortune was sponsored, that fortune was sponsored by a criminal. And it was followed by a slow realization of the vanity of first values. Often we categorize things into bad and good, but everything is relative. What seems to be good may not be good, and what seems to be bad, they can have also good values. Everything is relative, not absolute. That realization comes to him in the end of the novel. So let's read the story elaborately, means summarize the story, not elaborately. Great Expectation is the 13th novel by Charles Dickens, which depicts the education of an orphan, as I told you, nicknamed Peep, P-I-P. And the book is a Bildungsroman, remember, coming of age story. That we will discuss later. It's Dickens' second novel after David Copperfield to be fully narrated in first person. It is a first person narrative. So Peep, the adult Peep, narrates his whole story. The novel was first published in a serial in Dickens' weekly periodical All the Year Round. It was a weekly periodical called All the Year Round. In that, first the book was published in serial form from December 1860 to August 1861. Then in 1861, Chapman and Hull published the novel in 3 volumes. First, it was published as a serial in the journal in a periodical called All the Year Round. Then it was published in book form in 3 volumes. The novel is set in Kent and London. It began in Kent, the area, the locality, then it shifted to London. And the setting is mid-19th century. The setting is mid-19th century, Victorian England. And it is full of extreme imagery like poverty, prison, ships, chains, fights to death, typical of the Victorian age. When we come to the plot, the summary of the novel, the chronology of the novel covers from a period from 1812 to 1840. The time period of the novel is 1812 to 1840. And as I told you, the book includes 3 stages of Peep's expectations. Let's begin with the first stage. So the narrator of the story, the novel, Philip Pirriff. Philip Pirriff is the full name, but he is known as Peep. He is an orphan of about 7 years old. So Peep is an orphan of about 7 years old. He recalls his upbringing by his severe sister. The sister was bad-tempered, a hot-tempered, angry sister, elder sister. And her genial husband, who was a blacksmith, the name was Joe Gargery. Joe Gargery. So Peep was brought up by, Peep was an orphan, his mother and father were dead, and he was brought up by his sister and brother-in-law. Is the husband of the sister. The name was Joe Gargery. On Christmas Eve, around the time 1812, Peep unexpectedly meets an escaped prisoner. He met a prisoner, the boy, the child, Peep met a prisoner in the village churchyard while visiting the graves of his parents and siblings. So Peep was visiting the graveyard to see the graves of his parents and siblings, and unexpectedly on the way he met a prisoner, a convict. The convict scares Peep into stealing food and tools from his sister's home. And on early Christmas morning, Pip returns with a file of pie and brandy, so those English food, though he fears being punished. So, Pip stole food and some instruments, a file for the convict, for the person who had escaped from the prison. And he was afraid of being punished. During Christmas dinner that evening, uh, the, at the moment Pip's theft is about to be discovered, soldiers arrived and asked Joe means the brother-in-law of Pip, to mend some shackles because he was a blacksmith. And Joe and Pip accompanied them as they recaptured the convict. That convict, the person who had escaped from the prison, was recaptured. And he was fighting with another escaped convict. The first convict confesses to stealing food from the smithy, clearing Pip of suspicion. So this is the beginning. We know that Pip was an orphan. He was staying with his uh, elder sister and her husband. Her husband was a blacksmith. Joe was the name. Then on Christmas Eve, around the time 1812, Pip had gone to meet or to visit the graves of his parents, and on the way he met a escaped prisoner. And the escaped prisoner forced him to bring food and some tools he required. And Pip was afraid of that. He gave it to the escaped prisoner, but he was afraid of that. But when the truth was about to be revealed, at that time some of the soldiers, they arrived at the home of Joe to mend some shackles because he was a blacksmith. Then Joe and Pip accompanied them as they recaptured the convict, and that convict was fighting with another convict who had also escaped the jail. And this first convict, he confessed that he had stolen that food. So Pip was cleared of the suspicion. This is the beginning. Then the story moves on. A few years passed. Then there is another character, Miss Havisham. Miss Havisham. Havisam. She was a wealthy and reclusive spinster. She was a spinster, not married, who was jilted at the altar. And she still wears her old wedding dress. Did you get it? And she was about to be married, but the bridegroom did not come. And she's still wearing that wedding dress. And she lived in Satis house, the decrepit, old ruins kind of house, Satis house. So Miss Havisham is extremely eccentric, strange. She wears an old wedding dress everywhere she goes, and she keeps all the clothes in her house stocked at the same time. On the day, means the day of her wedding, the wedding did not happen. So she was eccentric. At the same time, she has stocked all the clothes. She asked Mr. Pampalchuk, a relation of the Gargery, to find a boy to visit her. And Pete visits Miss Havisham and falls in love with Estella. So she wanted, this Miss Havisham wanted a boy to visit her regularly, and so Pip came to the house. Pip came to visit Miss Havisham regularly and falls in love with Estella. Estella is the heroine. Estella is the heroine who was the adopted daughter of this Miss Havisham. And you have to remember that she was an eccentric, did not marry, means the marriage could not take place because the person fled, did not come for the marriage. And she is still wearing that wedding dress and stored all the clothes in her house. Then,
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Pip was the protagonist of the novel.
Yes, Pete is the protagonist, also the narrator of the novel. And Estella is the heroine of the piece.
and he had
He was
came
a
to
child.
visit to the Miss Havisham.
Havisham, who is an old spinster. And Estella is her adopted daughter. Estella is her adopted daughter. And that adopted daughter, Estella, Pip fell in love with Estella, that adopted daughter. And Pip was a child at that time. Estella remains aloof and hostile to Pip. Estella did not return the affection, which Miss Havisham encouraged, because Miss Havisham was jilted in love because she was betrayed. So she brought up Estella in such a manner that she did not encourage peace because of the upbringing. Because Miss Havisham encouraged her to remain aloof from Pip. So Pip visits Miss Havisham regularly until he is old enough to learn a trade, to enter a profession. Then Joe accompanies Pip. Joe, that husband of the sister, accompanies Pip for the last visit when she gives the money for Pip to be bound as an apprentice blacksmith. Joe wanted that he would work with him. Joe wanted that Pip would work with him as a blacksmith. But Joe's Shorley assistant, Orlick was another person. Orlick is envious of Pip and he disliked Mrs. Joe. Mrs. Joe means the sister of Pip. So Orlick is a character also. He is important in the story. Orlick is envious of Pip and he disliked Mrs. Joe. So when Pip and Joe are away from the house, Mrs. Joe is brutally attacked. Mrs. Joe is, or the sister, the elder sister of Pip is brutally attacked, leaving her unable to speak or do her work. Orlick is suspected of the attack. It was suspected that Orlick has attacked this Mrs. Joe. Mrs. Joe after that became kind-hearted. Earlier she was very angry, hot-tempered. Now after the attack, she became kind-hearted but brain damaged. She became brain damaged after the attack. And Pete's former schoolmate Biddy, Biddy is another girl, is a significant character in the story. Biddy, Biddy was a former schoolmate of P. She joins the household to help with the sister or help with her care. So till now we are introduced to the character of Pip, then Pip's sister, Mrs. Joe, Mr. Joe, who is the brother-in-law or the husband of Joe's sister, who is a blacksmith. Then Miss Havisham and Estella. Miss Havisham, an eccentric character, old spinster, and her adopted daughter, Estella. Then we are introduced to Joe's assistant, Orlick, who is envious of Pip because Joe wanted Pip to be his assistant. And he disliked also Mrs. Joe. So Mrs. Joe was attacked. And it was believed that Orlick attacked her. Then Pip's former schoolmate Biddy came to join them in their house to help Mrs. Joe. Then 4 years into Pip's apprenticeship, Mr. Jaggers, a lawyer. And then we are introduced to the character of Mr. Jaggers, a lawyer. Jaggers. A lawyer informs Pip that he has been provided with money from an anonymous, unknown patron, allowing him to become a gentleman. Jaggers has intriguing information about Pip's future. Like he said that I'm instructed to communicate to him that he will come into handsome property. Then he said that in a word, as a young fellow of great expectation, there the word in that particular paragraph you find the words great expectations. He was given money by a patron, his Pip was given money by a patron to become a gentleman with great expectations. So Pip is to leave for London, but presuming that Miss Havisham is the benefactor, he first visited her. The patron was unknown. The person who was sending money to through this lawyer was unknown. But we believe that that person must be this Miss Havisham because she was rich. So he paid her a visit, and then the second stage comes when Pip will be visiting London. Pip sets up the house in London at Barnard Inn with Harbert Puckett. Harbert Puckett is another character. Harbert Puckett, the son of his tutor, Matthew Puckett. Matthew Puckett is the person who is now the tutor, the teacher of Pip, who is a cousin of Miss Havisham. That Matthew Puckett is a cousin of Miss Havisham. So Harbert and Pip, Harbert means the master's son. This tutor's son Harbert and Pip, they have become friends. Harbert and Pip have previously met at Satish Hall. Satish Hall is the home of Miss Havisham, where Harbert was rejected as a playmate for Estella. He tells Pip how Miss Havisham was defrauded and deserted by her fiancé. Then Pip meets fellow pupils like Bentley Drummle. Bentley Drummle is another character who will become significant. So another pupil of this teacher, Matthew Puckett, was Bentley Drummle. Bentley Drummle. He was a brute of a man from a wealthy, noble family. He belonged to a wealthy family, a rich family, but he was not a good person. This Bentley Drummle. There was another pupil, a student, Startop, who was agreeable. So Jaggers gives out the money Pip needs. So we find now Pip in London, along with other persons. We find that his teacher was Matthew Puckett, who was a relation or a cousin of Miss Havisham. And that Matthew Puckett, the teacher, had a son, Harbert Puckett. Harbert was the name. So Harbert and Pip are companions, friends now. We are also introduced to other characters who are also the pupils of this Matthew Puckett, like Bentley Drummle and Starter. And we know that Bentley Drummle, though he was a rich person, was also a wicked person. Okay. So when Joe visits Pip at Barnard's Inn, Pip is ashamed of him. See, now the social status has changed. He is an educated person now, living in a town, has learned the culture of the town. So when Joe, the brother-in-law, that blacksmith, visits Pip at Barnard's Inn, Pip is ashamed of him. Joe relays a message from Miss Havisham that Estella will be at Satie's house for a visit. Estella also went to France to have her education. So she will be at Satie's house for a visit. Pip returns there to meet Estella and is encouraged by Miss Havisham, but he avoids visiting Joe. He visited Estella, but he did not visit his sister and brother-in-law. See, class interferes. And how a change in class also interferes relations or intervenes the human relations. So he's disquieted to see that Orlick, now in service to Miss Havisham, that Orlick, that villain who had attacked his sister, was now in service of Miss Havisham. He mentioned his misgivings to Jaggers, who promises Orlick's dismissal. He mentioned it to the lawyer, Jaggers, and he said that Orlick will be dismissed from the house, from Satie's Hall. Then he came back to London. Pip came back to London, and Pip and Harbert exchanged their romantic secrets. The teacher's son and Pip are friends now, I told you, and they exchange their romantic secrets. Pip adores Estella, and Harbert is engaged to Clara. Clara is another character. And Pip meets Estella when she is sent to Richmond to be introduced into society. So Pip and Harbert built up debts because they are maintaining a lifestyle in the town. So their money is not enough and they are into debt. They borrow from people. Mrs. Joe dies. Yes, Pip's sister, elder sister, who brought him off, she died. And Pip returns to his village for the funeral. Pip's income is fixed at £500 per annum per year when he comes of age at 21. With the help of Jagger's clerk, Jagger the lawyer's clerk, Wemmick, Pip plans to help advance Harbert's future prospect by anonymously securing him a position with a sheep broker, clericals. I will repeat this. So Pip wanted to help Harbert, the friend, Harbert, the teacher's son. So anonymously, not telling his name, as he was helped by another person who did not reveal the name, he also helped Harbert to secure a position with a sheep broker, clericals. With him, he worked. Who? Harbert. So Harbert went to work with a sheep broker. And Pip takes Estella to Sattie's house. She and Miss Havisham quarrel over Estella's coldness, because Estella is a character who was not very passionate. She was cold, did not exhibit or show her emotion. Later at an assembly ball in Richmond, Pip witnesses Estella meeting Bentley Drummle. Bentley Drummle, I told you, a rich person but a wicked one, who was also a student of the same teacher. So Estella was introduced to that Bentley. And Pip warns her about him, but she replies that she has no
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Yes.
Ma'am, Jaggers was the teacher.
No, Jaggers was the lawyer.
Lawyer.
Jaggers was the lawyer. Yes.
And who was the teacher, ma'am?
The teacher was Matthew Puckett. Matthew Puckett.
Okay, ma'am.
And the son of Matthew Puckett was Harbert Puckett.
Okay, ma'am.
The son of Matthew Puckett was Harbert Puckett, and this Matthew Puckett was a cousin of Miss Havisham. So they were related in a way. And other students, other pupils of this Matthew Puckett were Drummle, Bentley Drummle, and Starter. So Harbert Puckett was the son of this Matthew Puckett, and Harbert was a friend of Pip. Anonymously or without revealing it, Pip gave the money to secure Harbert a position with in a company with a sheep broker. So Pip helped Harbert to grow professionally without revealing his name. Okay. Did you get it? Yes?
Yes, ma'am. I got.
Did you get? Okay.
Yes, I got, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Then we find that at a ball, at a party, Estella is introduced to Bentley Drummle, who was also another student of that master, Matthew Puckett. And Estella was interested in Bentley Drummle because he was rich. When Pip warns her about this Drummle, she says that she has no qualm about entrapping him. Then a week after, Pip turns 23 years old. And he learns that his benefactor or his patron is the convict he encountered in the churchyard. He was sponsoring the whole education, that escaped prisoner. Okay. And the name of that escaped prisoner was Abel Magwitch. Abel Magwitch. That escaped prisoner whom Pip had helped with food and some other instruments. That person was sponsoring his education. He was helping him to become a gentleman. So when Pip was 23 years old, he learned that his benefactor was that convict, that escaped prisoner. He has become wealthy after gaining his freedom, that prisoner, but he cannot return to England. However, he returns to see Pip, who was the motivation for all his success. So now a secret is revealed, that who was the patron of Pip? That escaped prisoner. And the name of the escaped prisoner was Abel Macwitch. Magwitch. Then we come to the third stage. I told you it is a Bildungsroman also. It shows the education, the growth of the protagonist. So Pip is shocked and he stops taking Magwitch's money because he was a prisoner. He and Harbert Puckett devised a plan for Magwitch to escape from England. Nevertheless, they wanted to help him. So he and his friend Harbert Puckett, they made a plan for Magwitch to escape from England. And Magwitch shares his past history with Pip and reveals that the escaped convict whom he fought in the churchyard, there was another convict there and they fought with each other, and that convict was Compeyson. Compeyson, Compeyson. He was a fraud. And that another convict, another escaped prisoner, he was the person who had deserted Miss Havisham just before the marriage. Did you find the connection? The two prisoners in the beginning of the story are mentioned. One prisoner becomes the patron of Pip, and another prisoner, escaped prisoner, was the fiancé of Miss Havisham. The fiancé of Miss Havisham, who had deserted her just before marriage, and in whose memory she was still wearing the wedding dress and has stopped all the clocks. I hope you got the story till now. Yes? Did you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's continue. So Pete returns to Satis Hall to visit Estella, and he also meets Bentley Drummel, who has also come to see her. Bentley Drummel, earlier we find that Pete had interest in Estella, or he was in love with Estella. But now Estella is interested in Bentley Drummel, who was a rich person, though wicked, though not good. Okay. He had also come to see Estella and now has Orlick as his servant. Now Bentley Drummel has Orlick as his servant. See, this Orlick, this servant, is changing places. First he was an assistant of Joe, the blacksmith. Then he stayed with this Miss Havisham. Now he has moved to stay with Drummel, Bentley Drummel. So Pip accuses Miss Havisham of misleading him about his benefactor because he thought earlier that Miss Havisham was the benefactor. She admits, Miss Havisham admits that in doing so, but says that her plan was to annoy her relatives. And Pip declares to love Estella, who coldly tells him that she plans to marry Drummel. When Pip told that he loved Estella, Estella told him that she plans to marry Drummel, Bentley Drummel. Heartbroken, Pip walks back to London, where Wemmick warns him that Compeyson is seeking him. Compeyson, that second criminal, is seeking him, is trying to find him. And Pip and Harbert continue preparation for Magwitch escape. In fact, we find a lot of other characters also, and I'm going to omit some of them so that we will get the story. Then at Jagger's house for dinner, Wemmick tells Pip how Jaggers acquired his maid servant Molly. Jaggers, the lawyer, had a maid servant Molly, and she had become the maid servant of this lawyer because the lawyer had rescued her from the gallows when she was accused of murder. Molly was accused of murder, but this Jaggers, this lawyer, had rescued her. Then she became the maid, the housemaid, the servant of Jaggers. Who? Molly. Then full of remorse, we will find more connection after that. This Molly also becomes important. Then full of remorse, Miss Havisham tells Pip how infant Estella was brought to her by Jaggers. Then adopted daughter Estella, and we find that Estella is an orphan, also Pip is an orphan. Estella was an adopted daughter of Miss Havisham, and Miss Havisham informed that Estella was brought to her by Jaggers, that lawyer, and raised by her to be all feeling and heartless. It was her training which had made her heartless and all feeling. So she knows nothing about Estella's parentage. Who were the parents of Estella was not known. She also tells Peeves that Estella is now married to the Drommel. So she gives Peep money to pay for Harbert Puckett's position at Clericals, the ship, in the ship, and asks for his forgiveness. Then Peep is about to leave. Okay, so Peep had come to meet Miss Havisham. Okay, learned that Estella was given to Miss Havisham by the lawyer Jaggers, but the parentage was unknown. Now Estella is married to Drommel, and as Peep is about to leave, Miss Havisham's dress catches fire. Peep saves her, injuring himself in the process, but eventually she died. Who? Miss Havisham. Okay, Miss Havisham died from the injuries. Lamenting her manipulation of Estella and Peep, she lamented, she repented, having manipulated the relation of Estella and Peep. Peep now realizes that Estella is the daughter of Molly and Megwitch. Okay. Molly and Megwitch. So Molly is now the servant of this lawyer. Okay. The lawyer had rescued her from the gallows, who was accused of murder. And this Megwitch is the first prisoner, that escaped prisoner, whom Peep had given food and who sponsored the education of Peep. So Estella is the daughter of Molly and Megwitch. When confronted about this, Jaggers discouraged Peep from acting on his suspicion and he did not reveal. Jaggers did not tell clearly to Peep. Then a few days before Megwitch
Yes.
plans, we
Hello.
will finish the story. We
Hello,
will
ma'am. Hello.
yes,
Hello.
yes,
May I audible, ma'am?
yes,
That people got any information that Estella was the daughter of Molly and McWitch?
yes. He got some information because we are just going through the summary. We have to skip through many information and many characters. We are following the story only.
Okay.
So a few
So
days before,
thank you.
welcome. Before Megwitch plant escape, Megwitch, they are helping. That means Harbert and Peep are helping Megwitch to escape. So a few days before Megwitch plant escape, Peep is tricked by an anonymous letter into going to a house near the old home, where he is seized by Orly. Okay, so Orly, Miss Peak received an anonymous letter, an unknown letter, and he was invited to a place. So he went there and he was seized by Orly, that person who had in a way killed his sister, the sister, the Peak, who intends to murder him. Orlik intends to murder Peep, and Orlik freely admits injuring Peep's sister. As Peep is about to be stalked by a hammer by this Orlik, Herbert Puckett and Startup arrive, the two other pupils. Herbert was the son of that Matthew Puckett, the teacher, and Startup was another pupil. So they arrive, and Herbert was a friend to this Peep, and they saved Peep's life. So Peep's friend Harbert and Startup arrived and saved him from Orly, who was about to attack him and murder him. Then the three of them pick up Megwitch to row him to the stream boat. But they are met by a police boat, and the police boat was carrying the other prisoner, that Campishon, that other prisoner again, who was offered to identify Megwitch because the police were searching for Megwitch. They brought the other prisoner so that he will be able to identify Megwitch. And when they were trying to escape through waterways, on the way they met that police boat. Then there was a fight between the two prisoners, and seriously injured Megwitch was taken by the police. but Campion died. Campion's body was found later. So Harbert and Peel and Startup, they were trying to help McVish to escape through waterways. But on the way, they saw a police boat and it was carrying the other prisoner. That person, Campion, who was the fiancé of Miss Havisham, and he betrayed her. So and there was a fight between these two persons in water. And McVish was seriously injured and caught by the police, while Campion's body was found later. So he died. Then Peef is aware that McVish's fortune will go to the crown after his trial. Because he had acquired money, wealth, it will go to the state after his trial. But Harbert, who is preparing to move to Cairo, because he was working in a company now, Harbert, and he had to go to Cairo, Egypt, to manage the clerical's office there. And he offers Peef a position there. He offered that let's go to Cairo, Egypt. So Peef always visits McVish in the prison hospital as he awaits trial. And on McVish's deathbed, tells him that his daughter Estella is alive. So Peef regularly visited this prisoner who was in prison hospital, McVish. Peef constantly visited, regularly visited that prisoner. And on one occasion, he revealed that Estella, his daughter, was still alive. After Harbert's departure for Cairo, Peef falls ill in his room. So his friend Harbert left for Cairo, Egypt, and Peef fell ill in his rooms. And he faces arrest for the debt. I told you earlier that they had borrowed a lot to maintain a lifestyle. So now Peef was arrested for debt. D-E-B-T is called debt, and the B is silent. For example, another example is doubt, D-O-U-B-T. It's not doubt, so we don't pronounce this B. Also for debt, D-E-B-T. And another example, not B actually, that you must know, receipt. R-E-C-E-I-P-T is not receipt. The P is silent and it is receipt. So however, Joe nurses Peef back to health and pays off his debt. Now the brother-in-law has again come, Joe, that blacksmith, the sister's husband. He nurses Peef back to health and pays off his debt. Then, when Peef begins to recover, Joe slips away. He went away, Joe. Peef then returns to propose to BD. BD, you remember in the beginning when the sister was injured, the neighboring girl, BD had come to help the sister. She's another character and she had inclination for Peef, or she loved Peef, and Peef loved Estella. So now Peef returns to propose to BD, but he found that she has married Joe, the brother-in-law, and the sister is dead now. So Joe is much older than BD, but she has married Joe. Peef asks Joe's forgiveness and promises to repay him and leaves for Cairo. Because he undervalued Joe's relationship. Joe was a very helpful person, is a genuine human being, he always stood by Peef, but when he went up in social status, he did not want to acknowledge, or Peef did not want to acknowledge Joe as his relation. So he asked Joe's forgiveness, who has again come to his rescue and who has again helped him, and he promises to repay his money and leaves for Cairo. So now Peef also went to Cairo to join Harbert. There he shares lodging with Harbert and Clara. Harbert and Clara are a pair, and eventually advances to become the third in the company. So he gains some position in the company. Only then does Harbert learn that Peef paid for his position in the farm. Because it was an anonymous help. He did not reveal when Peef had Harbert. Now only Harbert knew that he had got the position with the help of Pip. So we are coming to the end of the story. After working 11 years in Egypt, Pip returns to England. He worked in Egypt, Cairo for 11 years, and he returned to England and visits Joe, Biddy and their son. And the son is named Pip Jr. Then in the ruins of Satis house, he also meets the widowed Estella. Estella is a widow now. The Drumble has died. Who asks Pip to forgive her, assuring him that the misfortune has opened her heart. And Pip takes Estella's hand and they leave for the moonlit ruin, and he sees no shadow of another parting from her. It's a kind of forced happy ending. Here, one thing is important. In fact, the story has two endings. I told you that it came in serial form. And in the serial form, there was no union between this Pip and Estella. But then, yes, let me tell you. Great Expectation has two conclusions. The original one sees Pip returning to London after a successful career in Egypt. And he met Estella. And she has experienced an unhappy marriage to a cruel booth followed by widowhood, that Drommel, then remarriage. And he perceives that she has been through a great deal of suffering. Here Dickens deliberately rejects a neat, predictable resolution in which Pip and Estella find happiness together. He did not end it like that in the original serial form, in the journal. There was no happy ending. But his friend, Edward Buller Lytton, he asked him to amend this, to change this to a more conventional outcome. So he did not want Pip to be left a solitary, a lonely man. And Dickens dualized by revising the last part of the novel. So when he brought it in book form, he changed the ending. And he said that in the moonlit ruins, he sees no shadow of another parting from her. Means they are united. Who? Pip and Estella. So John Foster, the publisher, was not happy about it. He liked the original conclusion when there was separation, though no union. And in his introduction to Great Expectation, George Bernard Shaw wrote an introduction to this Great Expectation, and he said that it was much more forthright. He declared that it is too serious a book to be trivially happy one. Its beginning is unhappy, its middle is unhappy, and the conventional happy ending is an outrage on it. He did not like the happy ending or the altered ending to the story. So this is the story of Great Expectation. It's a fat book. You have to read it. Did you get the story, all of you? Yes?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello?
Hello?
Did you get the story? Yes, all of you got the story? Learned the story?
Yes, ma'am. We
Yes,
got.
ma'am.
Oh, okay. Let's move on to the questions now.
Hello, ma'am.
Yes? Yes?
I have some question, ma'am.
Yes, tell it.
So in the time when the BD was proposed to Pip, or Pip was proposed to BD?
Not was proposed, they proposed. See, I will tell you two sentences. The tiger killed. The tiger was killed. Can you find the difference? The tiger killed. The tiger killed someone.
Okay.
The tiger was killed.
Yes. BD proposed to Pip, or Pip proposed to BD?
They did not propose to each other. In fact, Biddy had a soft corner for Pip, and he knew it. But he was in love with Estella. He proposed to Estella, and Estella refused because Estella wanted to marry Drummel, a rich man, and she was cold because her upbringing was like that. Because she was brought up by Miss Havisham, who was betrayed in love. So she had received such education that she did not believe in love and this relationship.
And later Estella and Pip both are marriage happen
Yes, it is
later
hinted in the end of the story.
after the
It is hinted in the,
okay
yes, in the
okay
changed ending. In the serial form, there was no happy ending, but when it was published in book form, Dickens changed the ending and he wrote a line that Pepys sees no shadow of another parting from her, means from Estella. That means they are united.
okay.
So see the questions. The questions from Great Expectations, the previous year's question, discuss the fairy tale elements in Great Expectations. Then discuss the Pepys-Estella relationship. Then the third question, write an essay on Great Expectation of the Bildungsroman. Bildungsroman. Then discuss Great Expectation as a growing of novel. Growing of novel means also Bildungsroman. Then how does Great Expectations subvert the idea of a fairy tale? So all these questions you will find from the IGNOU material. Means if you read the IGNOU material, you will find answer to all the questions. Then one of the achievements of Great Expectation is to resist the demarcation of respectability from criminal wealth. Do you agree? Next question, discuss Great Expectation as an example of awkwardly mobile aspirations of Victorian society. Or which character in Great Expectations appeals to you most? Give reasons of your answer. You can mention the protagonist, Pete. Or maybe you can write Joe. Then critically analyze the improvement plot in the novel Great Expectation. Improvement plot means that Bildungsroman, the idea of Bildungsroman, or growing up story. Then comment on Pepys-Estella relationship. Next, to what extent can Great Expectation be considered a fairy tale? There are too many questions on this fairy tale element, but I don't find it a fairy tale at all, except for that means a gothic element like things in the house of Miss Havisham. But you have a whole unit devoted to this fairy tale elements in Great Expectation in the IGNOU material. Then justify the title Great Expectations. Then would you call Great Expectation a realistic novel or a fairy tale? You can say a mixture of both. Then consider Beef in Great Expectation as a self-improving hero. A self-improving hero. So here, too sweeting. No current here again. So analyze the thematic significance of Pepys-Estella relationship. You have so many questions on, or many years you got questions on Pepys-Estella relationship. Then in what way is Great Expectations a Bildungsroman? Many questions on this Bildungsroman. Identify the fairy tale elements in Great Expectation and discuss how they impact the narrative. So fairy tale, Bildungsroman, Pepys-Estella relationship. Then analyze the juxtaposition or the mixture, the mixing of crime and respectability in Great Expectations. So you get many questions on Pepys-Estella relationship, Bildungsroman, fairy tale, and the characters. So we, as I told you earlier also, we get questions on themes, characters, narrative techniques. When we talk of the characters, Pep and his family, like Pep, an orphan, and the protagonist, and the narrator. He's also the narrator of the Great Expectation. And in his childhood, Pep dreamed of becoming a blacksmith like his brother-in-law. But at Seti's house, when he visited Seti's house, Miss Havisham, at the age of 8, he meets and falls in love with Estella. And he tells Beatty that he wants to become a gentleman. Then he was patron. He got the patronage of that Magwitch, okay, but it was anonymous. At that time, he did not know. And Pip lives in London after learning the blacksmith trade, and he becomes a gentleman. And Pip assumes his benefactor is Miss Havisham, though it was discovered later that his benefactor was that convict, that escaped prisoner, and it shocked him. And then the story goes on. We discussed about it, and at the end of the story, he is united with Estella. Then we have, when we talk of Pip and his family, we have also Joe Garcetti, who is like a father figure to him. He's a blacksmith who is kind to Pip, and he's the only person with whom Pip is always honest. And Joe is disappointed when Pip decides to leave him, to live in London, to become a gentleman. Then we have Joe Gargery, Mrs. Joe Gargery, the elder sister who brought him up, and she is 20 years older. Means she was 20 years older than Pip. After the parents' death, she brings him up, and she does the work of the household, but too often she loses her temper. Then we have Miss Havisham and her family. Miss Havisham, as you know, is a wealthy spinster who takes Pip on as a companion for herself and her adopted daughter Estella. And she is wealthy and eccentric woman who has worn her wedding dress and one shoe also. Since the day she was jilted at the altar and she was betrayed by her fiancé who left her just before marriage. And her house is unchanged as well. There is no change in the house. He hates all men and plots to wreak a twisted revenge by teaching Estella to torment men. That's why Estella learned to hate men, and she rejected Pip. But later she is overcome with remorse. Let's leave this. So you have a lot of characters. You can write about the character of Estella because she is the central, or she can be called the heroine of the piece, the Miss Havisham's adopted daughter, whom Pip pursues. Yes, somebody wants to tell. Please switch off your microphone. I'll quickly finish, then we'll move on to the question answer session. So please switch off your microphones. So Estella is a beautiful girl and grows more beautiful after her schooling in France. And Estella represents the life of wealth and culture, which Pip strives to achieve. He wanted to be a gentleman. And since Miss Havisham ruined Estella's ability to love, Estella cannot return Pip's passion. She warns Pip of this repeatedly, but he will not or cannot believe her. So Estella does not know that she is the daughter of Molly and that convict Abel Magwitch, because she was given up for adoption to Miss Havisham after the mother was arrested for murder. And we know that later the mother was released with the help of that lawyer. And in marrying Bentley Drummond, she rebels against Miss Havisham also. But we find that she becomes a widow, and later she is repentant. She is united with Pip. We have so many other characters. As I told you in the last class, you have to make a chart for the characters to remember them, and also draw the relationship graph. Okay, who is related to whom, in what way, so that you will be able to understand and remember the story. One more thing I would like to discuss here: when you write questions on when you write your answer on Great Expectations, you can compare it with David Copperfield. I hope many of you have read David Copperfield. Okay. Because David Copperfield, Great Expectations, most obvious literary predecessor, is Dickens' earlier first-person narrator protagonist David Copperfield. Both Great Expectations and David Copperfield are first-person narration. So the two novels trace the Please switch off your microphones. So both David Copperfield and Great Expectations have first-person narrator. Okay. The two novels also trace the psychological and moral development of a young boy to maturity and his transition from rural environment to London metropolis in both the stories. Then we find a glimpse of their emotional development, the exhibition of their hope and youthful dreams, okay, and their metamorphosis through rich and complex first-person narration in both the novels. So Dickens was conscious of this similarity, and before undertaking his new manuscript, he reread David Copperfield to avoid repetition. So while answering questions on Great Expectation, you can also refer to David Copperfield because both are similar in so many ways. When we come to the style and the genre, Dickens uses 12 narrative perspective in Great Expectation. The first person narrator is Pip. Pip is the first person narration. First person narrator means I, me, it happened to me. In this way, the whole story goes. And the mature adult Pip looks back over his life, reflecting upon his experiences and making perceptive judgments about himself and others. At the same time, his recollections of childhood are graphic and intense. An adult Pip is narrating, but he recollects his childhood, and the recollection of childhood is graphic and intense, drawing the reader into the story. And young Pip's voice comes through as he describes incident from his formative year. Okay, so this is narration. An adult narrator, first person narrator, Pip narrating the whole thing. He also talks about his childhood, or he talks about the growth from his childhood to maturity. Then the novel I told you can be called a Bildungsroman. Bildungsroman means a novel of education and development. However, it is important to note that Dickens blends different genres. The Great Expectation combines realism, realistic fiction, melodrama, romance. It can be called a Gothic novel because there are also elements of Gothic, grotesque. It has also elements of fairy tale, and it is also a comic novel. So yesterday somebody asked me that can a particular novel come under different subclasses? Yes, it can, as we find here. Okay. So it's a complex and multifaceted Victorian Bildungsroman, which focuses on the protagonist who matures over the course of the novel. And Great Expectation describes Pip's initial frustration upon leaving home. Then it is followed by a long and difficult period that is punctuated with conflicts between his desire and the values of established order. Then when he came to discover that a criminal was sponsoring him to become a gentleman, then during the time he re-evaluates his life and re-enters society on new foundation. He discovered the hollowness of established order. It's also a crime fiction because it has elements of crime fiction, like it has scenes. We find scenes on convicts, prison ship, episode of bloody violence, and it is also elements of crime fiction. It has also elements of Gothic novel, like it contains, especially Miss Havisham. It contains element of Gothic novels, especially in Miss Havisham, The Bride Frozen in Time, and the ruined Satis house filled with weeds and spiders, because there has been no change, no alteration for so many years. Also, we find, then let's come to themes. What are the themes of the great expectations? Themes, as you know, are universal and fundamental ideas explored in literary works. So the title Expectations refers to a legacy to come and thus immediately announces that money, or more specifically wealth, plays an important part in the novel. So wealth or money is one theme. Some other major themes are crime, social class, including both gentility and social alienation, or imperialism, ambition. The novel is also connected with questions related to conscience and moral regeneration, as well as redemption through love. There are so many things. And one thing mentioned worthy is imperialism. Edward Said, you must have heard the name of Edward Said. He is very famous for the book Orientalism. Edward Said, Orientalism is a must read in the field of literary criticism or in post-colonial theory. So Edward Said wrote Culture and Imperialism. In Culture and Imperialism, in that particular book, he has interpreted these great expectations in terms of post-colonial theory. He has talked about the late 18th and 19th century British imperialism and disillusionment, where he learns his benefactor is an escaped convict from Australia. He was an escaped convict from Australia, along with his acceptance of Magwitch as a surrogate father kind of figure. Is described by Edward Said, as part of the imperial process. So that will be too difficult for you, I think, because anyhow you are self-pursuing the course. It's like self-studying the whole thing. You are only counseled. Just remember that imperialism is one of the themes of Great Expectations, and it has been discussed by Edward Said in the book Culture and Imperialism. Next, we have ambition and self-improvement as the theme. The moral theme of Great Expectation is quite simple. Affection, loyalty, conscience are more important than social and advancement, wealth, and class. And Dickens establishes the theme and shows Peeve learning the lessons, largely by exploring ideas of ambition and self-improvement. Ideas that quickly become both the thematic center of the novel and the psychological mechanism that encourages much of Peeve's development. So here we find ambition and self-improvement takes three forms. One is moral, second social, and third educational. Peeve develops morally, socially, and educationally. Then social class. Throughout Great Expectation, Dickens explored the class system of Victorian England, ranging from the most wretched criminals like Magwitch to the poor peasants of the Mars country like Joe and Biddy, and to the middle class like there is another character, Pumblechook, and there are very rich like Miss Havisham. So the theme of social class is central to the novel's plot. And we have also the theme of crime, guilt, and innocence. Crime, guilt, and innocence. The theme of crime, guilt, and innocence is explored throughout the novel, largely through the characters of convict and the criminal lawyer Jaggers. From the handcuffs Joe mends at the smithy to the gallows at the prison in London, the imagery of crime and criminal justice pervades the whole book, and it's becoming an important symbol of Pip's inner struggle to reconcile his own inner moral conscience with the institutional justice system. So crime, guilt, and innocence also figure in the novel. Then sophistication. Pip wanted to be sophisticated. In Great Expectation, Pip becomes obsessed with the desire to be sophisticated, and he takes damaging risks in order to do so. And after his first encounter with Estella, Pip becomes acutely self-conscious that I was a common laboring boy, that my hands were coarse and that my boots were thick. He becomes conscious of his class. And once he moves to London, Pip is exposed to the glamorous urban world. It is so crowded with people, so brilliantly lighted, and he quickly begins to contract expensive habit. That's why he was in debt. He borrowed. As a result of spending money on things like personal servant, fancy clothes, he quickly falls into debt and damages Harvard's finances as well as his own finances. Okay. Even more troubling is that he tried to avoid anyone who might undermine his reputation as a sophisticated young gentleman. And the example is he tried to avoid Joe, his own brother-in-law. The next theme is education. It's a Bildungs romance. So education is important, education of the character. So education functions as a force for social mobility and personal growth in the novel. Joe and Biddy both use their education to pursue new opportunities and showing how education can be a good thing. But Pip receives an education that allows him to advance into new social positions. So education is an important theme in the novel. Then family is important, though both the main characters are orphaned. Okay. Although Pip and Estella both grow up as orphans, family is an important thing. Pip grows up with love and support from Joe, but fails to see the value of unconditional love Joe gives him. And he eventually reconciles with Joe after understanding his errors. Estella is exposed to damaging values from her adopted mother, Miss Havisham, and gradually she learns to experience what it actually means to care about someone. What's the meaning of care? She learns. Then let's have a conclusion to the theme. So ambition, the desire for self-improvement, social, economic, educational and moral. Then guilt, criminality and innocence. Maturation and the growth from childhood to adulthood. The importance of affection, loyalty, sympathy over social advancement, class superiority. Social class, the difficulty of maintaining superficial moral and social categories in a constantly changing world are all the themes of great expectations. So shall we move on to the discussion now? I wanted to ask you a question. Do you consider Pip a success or a failure? Yes. Was Pip a success or a failure?
In my point of view, ma'am, he was a success person
Yes. Why?
because he was gone for study, and after his completion of education, when he returned, he uh, again married to Estella, and and he lived happily with her.
Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Good. Anybody else? Please try. Each Pip a success or a failure? Give your own answer.
Hello.
Yes.
He is failure, ma'am.
Why?
Uh, because in the novel, uh, last line say that uh, what is the
Yes.
use of flower? What is the use of flower when spring is gone?
And spring is gone. But then
So
he
my
decided to. Yes, tell. Tell.
so so he was failure.
Okay. Uh, Listen. The last lines are I took her hand in mine, and we went out of the ruined place. And as the morning mist had risen long ago, when I first left the forge, so the evening mists were rising now, and in all broad expanse of time, tranquil light, they soared to me. I saw no shadow of another parting from her. He says that I am not going to part, I am not going to be divided, or I am not going away from her anymore. Okay, because in literature things can be subjective. Let me tell you something now about this. Was he a failure or a success? In terms of his initial hopes and expectation, Pete seems to be a failure in the end because he had great expectations. He wanted to be a gentleman, he wanted to rise in social class and achieve a lot of things. But he seems to be a failure. His two great hopes have been to rise to the status of a gentleman and win Estella's heart, which he could not do. Because Estella married someone else in the middle of the novel. He did not achieve either of these goals. His career ends up being modest because he went to Cairo to work as a clerk or something. And Peep's lack of financial success is not only the blow to his social aspiration, he has to also face the shame and trauma of realizing that everything he has or everything he has acquired has come from a criminal. While he has always nursed the hopes of somehow winning Estella's love. When he confessed his feelings for her, he was rejected. And she responded by saying that you address nothing in my breast. You touch nothing there, means you don't touch my heart. I don't care for what you say at all. But on the other hand, when we come towards the end of the novel, Pip succeeds at developing a sense of empathy. He becomes able to appreciate and respect people based on their characters, rather than on shallow indication of class and status. Because it's a Bildungsroman, a novel of education, he learned that those are shallow, hollow values, those class and status. And as Magwitch lays dying, Pip comforts him by confiding that his lost child lived and found powerful friends. He told about Estella to Magwitch, and when he learns that Joe and Biddy have married, Pip burst out in praise of both of them. He's not jealous or anything. He's full of appreciation. Although he previously thought he was better than both the characters, Pete now sees that their kindness and reliability matters more than their income or education. So what Estella says about herself, that she has been bent and broken, but I hope into better shape. Okay, Estella remarked about herself, and it applies to Pete as well. He ends the novel. He ends the novel of failure according to the standard he initially holds, but he was a success because he has learned what better and truer standard of a good life actually are. So this is a question, and then when we go to IGNOU material, in particular in Unit 1, you find the background. I told you earlier also, see the content part of each unit and you will find long questions there. Offered social mobility and mid-Victorian society. So what was the position, or what was the standard of society, or how Great Expectation fit into the mid-Victorian society? From social history to history of form, or Great Expectation and the fairy tale. You have a lot of questions on Great Expectation as a fairy tale, but we have another special unit on it. In the introduction, you will just get a glimpse of, in short, you will get it, but you have a whole unit on this fairy tale thing. Then Unit 2, Great Expectation and Self-Improvement, a Bildungsroman. The two ideas prevalent in Victorian society, that of self-improvement and gentlemanliness. These two things are intricately worked into the fabrics of Great Expectations. Gentlemanliness was essentially the embodiment of a cultured, liberal, leisured, and in short, an essentially aristocratic society, or aristocratic lifestyle. So in Great Expectation, Pip wanted to improve and reach to an aristocratic lifestyle. Then self-improving hero and the problem of gentlemanliness. Then he realized the problem of gentlemanliness. What is true gentlemanliness? Was Joe a true gentleman or Drumble? What are the real qualities associated with gentlemanliness? So Great Expectation has one of its starting points, a classic motive of improvement literature, the hero's determination to better his lot. Author Pip is exposed all the time to his dissatisfaction with his life in a backward provincial town. His desire to improve himself is projected in the novel. Okay. So then Unit 3, improvement or disintegration. The Bildungs romance, the improvement. Then in Unit 3, you find the question, is it improvement or disintegration? Because in the last part, when we found that he was sponsored by a criminal, then he developed a altogether different kind of worldview. Okay. So how Great Expectation can be seen as a Bildungs romance? Okay, the progressive educative plot and the self-integration that you'll find here. So to write answer on the question, Great Expectation as a Bildungsroman, you can follow this Unit 2, Unit 3. Okay. So improvement and disintegration, when you have a closer look at Book 3 of Great Expectation, you will find that Book 3 provides the ground where the integrative method of the conventional Bildungsroman can be systematically dismantled.
Man, builders, romance or romance?
Bildungsroman, ROMAN, singular, S plural.
ROMAN.
Yes, BILDUNGS, ROMAN. So then Unit 4, Great Expectation and the Fairy Tale. So to get that, you have to read Unit 4, Great Expectation and the Fairy Tale. In this section, you will find answer to this particular question. Then realism and fairy tale, whether it's a realist novel or a fairy tale. Okay, let me begin by exploring the ways in which elements from the older, darker folk form of fairy tale enter into the structure of Great Expectation. Especially the pivotal scenes involving the Setis house. Yeah, that's the only fairy tale elements I find. The Setis house and their weird owner. It appropriates the traditional fairy tale and the magical elements to make Pip's first exposure to gentility a strange and difficult experience. And Miss Habison's bridal clothes are also like her grave clothes. It has been mentioned, it has been narrated in the story. And Miss Habison's birthday, wedding day, and dying day all come together when, during the course of a grotesque birthday ritual, Miss Havisham imagines her corpse laid out where her wedding feast would have taken place. So these are the descriptions where we find the fairy tale elements. But it deforms the conventional fairy tale because we find much realism here.
Ma'am,
Much realism. Yes. Yes.
exact meaning of fairy tale?
Fairy tale means it has certain conventional elements like a happy ending, good life. A fairy tale is like a romance and all that. But here we find too much of realism, the poverty, squalor, struggle. But still we have elements of fairy tale, like when we see something remote fairy tale. Fairy tale joint, who is that?
Ma'am, excuse
Okay,
me.
so
Hello, ma'am.
yes, yes.
in the IGNOU material, the 4.4 of this particular unit, that is deforming the conventional fairy tale, is can
Yes.
this be an answer to that question? How does Great
Yes.
Expectations subvert the idea of a fairy tale?
Yes, 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 of course, very good. Yes, you have understood it right. Great Expectation absorbs the
Subversion,
conventional fairy tale. Yes, it subvert
yes,
it because it deform it, differ. Yes,
yes.
it absorbs
Subversion
the
means
conventional fairy tale.
deformation. Subversion
Yes,
means
it's
deformation or
strong side.
wrong interpretation.
Yes, in other way, it interprets in other way. Not in order to replicate the paradigm, but to deform it. For example, in the figure of Miss Havisham and her function as a supposed fairy tale godmother in fairy tale story. She's not a godmother really. So it subvert. It comes out that she is not a godmother. Instead, she was in the way of their P-Stellar relationship. She opposed it. She's supposed to be the benign agent who was the patron of peace elevation to good society. But it turns out in the end that she is not. So subversion we find. Then unit 5 is about crime and respectability. The problem of crime was a lifelong
Excuse me, ma'am.
preoccupation with
Hello.
Dickens. It is featured. Yes,
Hello,
yes,
ma'am. Sorry,
yes,
just
yes.
sorry to interrupt you. Then I can write like this: though it has some materials or some elements which resemble the fairy tale idea, but because of
Hmm.
these and these certain criterias, I cannot term it. It is not applicable. It will not be appropriate to term Great Expectations as a proper fairy tale, right?
Not proper fairy tale. You can write it is not a conventional fairy tale.
Conventional fairy tale.
Because there are
Okay.
yes, it is not a conventional fairy tale because certain elements are there which deform the idea of a conventional fairy tale, or it is a subversion of conventional fairy tale, and you have to write the regions. And the same answer you can write for it is a blend of realism and fairy tale. Any other question? So unit 5, we were talking about crime and respectability. And the problem of crime was a lifelong preoccupation with Dickens. And we find it featured in most of his novels. During those times, the Victorian age and industrial society, industrial revolution, people finding jobs in factories, but there was plenty on the one hand and poverty on the another. It was an age when the extreme existed. There was good on the one hand, evil, extreme evil on the other hand. There was prosperity on the one hand and poverty on the other hand. So criminal wealth and respectability, it is all, here you find the connections between criminality and respectability that the plot suggests when it reveals that Megwitch rather than Miss Havisham is Pepys' secret benefactor. And it is reinforced at the thematic level by the activities of the lawyer Jaggers. Thus, Jaggers represents a legal system which is overtly dedicated to the business of segregating, separating, by a strictly objective system, the criminal from the respectable. In the story, we find there is a segregation, separation of the criminals from the respectables. Moreover, we also saw that this rooting out of criminality is reinforced by a whole system of branding that projects the criminal as the easily recognizable other of the respectability. The first criminal, the escaped prisoner, Megwitch, and the other person, the second prisoner. Yet this displacement of all forms of illegality of the branded criminal also serves to keep the shade away from public scrutiny, the innumerable transactions that go on all the time between the respectable and the criminal world. Isn't it? Though there is separation between criminality and respectable world, still we find there are so many transactions. For example, that lawyer helped Molly to escape or to escape imprisonment, and now she is the maid in his house. So though there is criminal world and respectability are others of each other, still we find transaction between the two. Even Magwitch is a criminal, but he is connected to the respectable world because he is sponsoring the education of Pith. So this you will find in Unit 5 of IGNOU material. So I want to repeat that you find all the questions or answers to all the questions that regularly come in your exams in IGNOU material. You first read the background of Victorian age, the historical or social cultural background of the Victorian age to have an overall idea of the age or the background against which this particular novel was written. You can read any book of English literature. You can read about the Victorian age from a book on history of English literature. Then read about Dickens, Charles Dickens and his other novels. Often you find a summary of all the novels. David Copperfield, a short summary. Oliver Twist, a short summary. Okay. So you can relate it to Great Expectations also, because the similar themes are explored in other novels as well. So you read the life and other works of Charles Dickens, a summary kind of thing. Then you read Great Expectation, the novel. But if you don't have time, you have to read the novel. Still, you can also manage now with an elaborate summary, which you can find on the internet of Great Expectation. After reading this thing only, you can approach the IGNOU material, because those are research-based things. Those are written after much research. After reading all these backgrounds and the summary and the story, you can understand those materials. And those are well prepared, and you can find and prepare for all your questions from this IGNOU material. Because you find everything: background, buildings, romance, then theme of crime, characters, fairy tale, everything. Yes. Let's discuss now. If you have any questions.
Ma'am, I have one more question.
Yes, tell me.
Who I, ma'am?
Yes.
May I ask? Okay. Then
Yes, sure.
according to the fifth unit, which is on the crime and respectability theme of Great Expectations, there were two questions which you also mentioned a few minutes earlier. One is analyze the juxtaposition of crime and respectability in Great Expectations, and the
Yes,
other one
that is
is
exactly.
one of the achievements of Great Expectations is to resist the demarcation of respectability from criminal wealth. So both these questions are actually same theme based, right?
Yes. I told you earlier also, you can get the same question, just with a twist of language. The language will be different, but the question will be the same.
So, ma'am,
Yes.
does it mean that
That is exactly what.
in this novel, crime and respectability means both the criminal world and the respectful world of the sophisticated world, they get intermingled. A person who is a so-called criminal has some sort of respectable position in the society as well. Does
No,
juxtaposition mean that?
no. That is not the juxtaposition. Means there is interchange. Okay. It's not two completely separate world. Okay. Yes, you are right when you said that even a criminal can have some sort of respectability because he did some respectable work like sponsoring education. So he demands or he deserves respectability in that sense. Yes, you are correct. You are correct. So often we find that in people they separate respectability and crime. Criminal world is the other world, okay, and we are not involved kind of things. But we find a thin line, okay, and we find both are juxtaposed, mixed together, okay, and there is interaction between the two. Yes. Any other question?
Yes, ma'am. Hello.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Ask me.
Ma'am, great expectation revolves around economic values, like what it can buy and what it can not. So, are there any other values in the novel?
There are so many values here. When we discuss the themes here, and the values are also relative concept, isn't it? See, first
Uh,
P was the education of P was sponsored by a criminal, and according to him, according to his previous values, it was not right. He was very sad when he learned that his education was sponsored by a criminal. He was not ready to take it. But then he learned that values upheld by the society are sometimes shallow, hollow. These are all relative concepts because that person, a person who is a criminal is not altogether a criminal. He can have some redeeming qualities. That thing he recognized in the end of the novel, P, the central character. That's how it becomes a Bildungsroman. Yes.
okay, ma'am. Ma'am, in which category does the novel fall? Tragic, comedy, romance, or something else?
So many, so many, so many. I mentioned earlier also, and yesterday somebody asked a question, and it can come to, it can fall under several subclasses of novel. Like this great expectation is categorized as a Bildungsroman. It is also a comic novel, a realist novel. It also branded as a fairy tale sometimes, and also uh, we find Gothic element when we speak of Miss Havisham. So one novel can also come under several soft categories.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Which
Welcome.
one? Ratna?
Yes. Any
Hello,
other
ma'am.
question?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes. Yes.
Uh,
Please ask your
Actually,
question.
many students are came from different different course. Actually, we are taken
Yes.
in
That I.
section
Hmm.
Sanskrit and also, many are history. Different sector
Yes.
we came from different sector we are come.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
if it is possible, I am requesting to you, ma'am, that you have you will, if it is possible, so you will take
Yes.
that four class of drama part MEG2. It is possible, ma'am. It will possible, and I will request to sir also. I am requesting to sir also, though that sir present here, and if it is possible, you will please take, ma'am, minimum at least four class, and within one hour you have to complete that one block, and it is better for us.
Listen, I can't promise anything like that, but whatever we have been, means I have been assigned, I will try to do full justice to that. And I know that you come from different background. That's why I repeatedly told you that it is necessary to read the historical background from history of English literature to understand a text in a context. Then we have to read the text. Suppose somebody is not able to read and understand the whole text, because sometimes we find a literary text has high artistic standard. So there is no harm if you are new to English literature. You can even read summaries which are available on the internet initially. Then you have to read the text. Reading the text is a must for
No,
any
ma'am.
student who is
Uh,
pursuing PG in English. Yes.
we
Then you
need,
read the IGNOU material.
yes,
Yes.
ma'am. One thing, ma'am, we need
Then you
just
will find it easy.
we need technique and idea, ma'am. Some technique and idea. After that, we will
Yes.
manage all things,
Yes,
because
you will be
uh,
able to manage
so
everything. Don't
if it
worry.
is
You will be
possible,
able to just.
if it is possible, you will give some technique and
Yes.
idea about the drama. So it is be- best for us, ma'am.
Okay. In the last class, we'll talk about it. That maybe. Let's continue with our classes for now. If you
Okay.
have any doubt, you can just write to me. That's my number. You WhatsApp me your question. If I means
Okay, ma'am.
I head the department, APG department, so
Okay, ma'am.
I stay quite busy. But I'll find
Okay,
definitely find time for you and answer your
okay,
queries. You can
okay,
send
ma'am.
me text
Thank you,
messages
ma'am.
to my
Okay,
WhatsApp if you have
okay,
any
ma'am.
doubt about any topic.
Okay, ma'am.
All of you,
Thank you, ma'am.
all of you.
Same.
Welcome. Anybody else? Yes, anybody else? Any question?
Ma'am, could you please give a short, brief analysis of the justification of the title again, if possible, of Great Expectations?
Okay. See, Great Expectation, the theme is introduced when uh, P was sponsored. Okay, I quoted a paragraph from the novel when Jaggers, the lawyer, informed Pip that he has been sponsored to enter into the life of gentility, to become a gentleman. There we find the words, the phrase, great expectations. So there is great expectation of Pip and from Pip. The great expectations of Pip is to become a gentleman and win Estella. In the beginning, that's the great expectation. But we find that those two are thwarted when he discovers that his education was sponsored by a criminal and when he was rejected by Estella.
এটা ছাড়া out.
Then the values and the growing into maturity and all that. So great expectations is mostly related to first improvement in wealth, education, as we discussed, social improvement, moral improvement, and educational improvement. So great expectations socially, morally, and educationally from Peef and of Peef himself also. Did you understood? Sorry, you understand?
Yes, ma'am. From Peep's point of view, it is clear. So, in answering this, do we need to also include the different expectations of other characters,
Yes. A
like
glittery was. Yes.
Miss Havisham, whose expectation was to get married, but that never got fulfilled?
Yes. Yes.
These several other examples can we include if it is
Yes. Of
relevant?
course.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Of
Thank you.
course. That's the beauty of literature. That's the beauty of literature. It is always open to interpretation. We can have several interpretations. That's why we can write a thesis on a single book, isn't it?
Yes,
We can
ma'am.
even on a single poem. Okay, even on a single poem, we can write a thesis. Okay. It is open to multiple interpretation. But then you have to justify it. It should be logical also.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Well,
Excuse me, ma'am.
yes.
Yes, ma'am. The story has two endings, and the argument tends to support the second ending. And which one we should consider?
Listen, as a book form, we have to consider only that one. When he is reunited with Estella, when Pip is reunited with Estella, that's the ending. I mentioned the first ending, which was in original, because the book was originally published in a serial form, in a journal, and in that particular journal at that time, the ending was not happy ending. Then the writer was approached by his friend, and he changed the ending. He requested his publisher to change the ending, and the ending was like that, what we discussed, that Pip is reunited with Estella, and
With
Estella had
Stella.
become a widow.
Yes, yes,
Yes?
ma'am.
Okay. Yes, that's the
Thank
ending.
you.
We have to consider that ending. Yes.
Okay.
Any other question? Any other question?
Ma'am, I'm saying this your class is being recorded, so can we get the video of your classes?
I didn't get you. What?
Ma'am, as I'm attending your class, I can see that your class is constantly being recorded. So is it possible to get the video of the class?
Yes, it is available, I think, on IGNO. Some, no idea actually,
Facebook.
but I saw it. Not Facebook actually, YouTube. I think they record it, and I have some idea that they record and it comes on YouTube. I think you can search
Okay.
IGNO on
Okay.
YouTube
Okay.
and find.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. Any other question? Other students, if you have any other query,
Ma'am,
please feel
ma'am.
free to ask. Yes?
Yes, ma'am. Hello. Ma'am,
Yes.
can we, may I ask you two questions from Wuthering Heights? I asked you yesterday, so you said in
Okay.
today's class. Okay.
Okay. Yes.
One is, ma'am, just give me some points. I can manage the answer. One is, ma'am, Heathcliff and Hareton have been portrayed as characters with similar experiences but different responses. Discuss this one, and the other one is may
Heathcliff and who?
Hareton.
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 Hareton. Yes.
One is
Yes.
this: Heathcliff and Hareton have been portrayed as characters with similar experiences but different responses. Discuss.
Hmm.
And the other one is: do you think Nelly is a reliable narrator in Wuthering Heights? Support your answer with evidence from the text. These two, ma'am.
Yes. The second one we discussed, I think, because we discussed that everything has been narrated from the point of view of Nelly, who is a servant. Who is a servant. So there is, naturally, there will be biases. There will be bias towards the master. She will have her personal preference, likes and dislikes. So the story is interpreted through her eyes. She interprets things, people, events. So there has to be, I mean, there is bias in the narration. It's natural. So sometimes she can be unreliable because her narration is interspersed or it is interfered by her personal biases, choices. That's one thing. And Heathcliff and Hareton, they belong to different generations, but they underwent the same experience. How? Heathcliff was uneducated. Though Heathcliff was brought to the withering height by the master, but after his death, he was treated like a servant by his son. So he suffered. He suffered. He was uneducated. He was full of passion, but he lacked the culture, the aristocratic air. And the same happened with Hareton. And Heathcliff took revenge on Hareton actually. He did not let him to learn. He did not let him to learn and be educated. So in the end of the story, we find that the second Catherine, she is teaching Hareton. Whereas we find a kind of sad ending to Heathcliff's story, he died in the end. His life was full of revenge, anger, and all sort of negative passions. And even love functioned as a negative passion in him. It's not so in case of Hareton. The love and care of Catherine altered, changed Hareton. He's ready to learn. He's ready to be educated. So they both underwent the same experiences, but they had different responses. Did you get some idea?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. But you have to write elaborately, remember.
Yes,
We
ma'am.
have 20 marks for one question.
Ma'am, one more question is there. In case of these novels, means any text, especially for the huge texts like Tom Jones, like Great
Yes.
Expectations, is it necessary to quote from the novel?
Yes, it is necessary to quote from the novels to show that you have read the novels.
But ma'am,
You can
Tom
read
Jones is
fast.
huge.
Yes, it is huge. You have to read. Suppose in case you are not, as a teacher, I should not say that you will not be able to read. It's compulsory to read, but you can also find from internet famous quotes of Tom Jones. You can
Okay,
search
ma'am.
famous quotes of Tom Jones or any other book, and you can find some famous quotes.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, I think this is enough for today. We should stop now. Keep your questions for
Ma'am,
the next class.
ma'am,
Yes,
ma'am,
yes,
I
tell.
have a question to ARRC sir.
Okay,
Sir, hello, sir.
you tell your
Hello,
question. He's listening, I think. You type your question in the chat box.
hello, sir. Why my name and roll number failed to send today? Hello,
Write your name and roll number again then, I think.
ma'am.
Write your name and roll number and send it in the chat box.
Okay, ma'am.
Open chart and type your name and roll number there.
Again failed to send, ma'am.
It's all right. We should stop now. We'll meet in the next class with George Eliot's Middlemarch. It's also a very fat novel, and we'll discuss it. I hope you got the stories of all these and you're not going to mix up all the stories. Goodbye for today. We'll meet tomorrow.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.